Okay, can everybody hear me? Y'all hear me? You guys want to do, should we do some stick or should we do some Tai Chi or some combination thereof? Alright, everybody has stick. Let's do stick. So let's actually start with a little bit of warm-up. Since you have the stick, hold it with you and then allow your feet to touch. And you can place the stick in one of two places. If you leave it, imagine that you have a square at the base of your feet, and right at the front in the corner where that square is, you can set the stick there, and then allow your hand to sit at the most natural point. Is one place you can hold it at either at the fourth grip or as close to the median, to the center, and try to keep it upright, parallel, something like that. And then bring this together. Another place to set it is right in the middle. And if it's in the center, you can hold it here, one hand, both hands on top, any way that you like. One of the ideas in Chinese culture is the straight line, right? The very name of the country is Zhonghua. And the character for zhong is this straight line with a sort of circle around it. So if we're holding it here, the same thing, by the way, when we're practicing this way, unless we're using a technique like pointing at the opponent, right, when we do the salute to intimidate them by pointing the weapon at them, we want to keep it straight, right? If you go to the competition or when you're demonstrating to the crowd, it should be straight. The same thing here. When we get to the ready stance, this should also be level. So let's go back to the beginning and take the stick. And if you stand with your feet shoulder width wide, put the stick in the center, forming a triangle, and then rest your palms over top of the stick. We're going to do a little bit of alignment before we do some breathing. So I want you to imagine if the straightness of the center line of the stick, the same thing in your spine. So from the back of your head to the back of your tailbone, you can relax your arms, pushing up through the head top. Activate your feet. And then roll your shoulders back. And then roll your shoulders back again. When you're pushing your head top up, keep your chin tucked. And then check one more time if you can really relax the shoulders. Let them sink. And then check to see that the tailbone also sinking. In fact, with your shoulders, if you take the stick, you can place it just behind, and then gripping it loose, allow it to be relaxed. Push the back of the neck up, relax the tailbone. Keep the shoulders and elbows open to the sides. And we're practicing two things while we're doing this. We want to have both the energy is sinking. We have the structure so that the feet and the bones and the legs supporting. And then in addition to that, we also have the relaxation. So it should feel as if the joints are expanding. Externally, it may not look like much of a change. Internally, it's changing. You should feel more relaxed. And so this is sort of, if we think about Tai Chi theory, the yin and yang, they seem like opposites, but yet they're contained in the same shape. And so the relaxation is, in the Mandarin, is called sung, and it's the same feeling as if you take a piece of cloth and you set it over top of something. It's completely relaxed. It completely hangs on its own. If you have clothing, right, and you set it over top of the back of the furniture, it sits there on its own. And the other idea, the opposite, is palm. And in the Mandarin, palm is this sense of expansion. You might think of this the way a balloon is expanded. There's no balloon can be expanded, but there's no effort, right? And it just has the expansion. So we want to have that kind of relaxed while we're standing. So the feet expanding against the ground, the head top expanding against the sky. Mingmen in the back, this point expanding backwards. Baihui at the top expanding up. Huiyin at the bottom expanding down. The Dantian in the center expanding forward. Your shoulders there's like a sphere that's going in all directions. Like the balloon is inflating. But then also the balloon is relaxed. The balloon itself, even before you blow the balloon up, we do the stretching. And you stretch it. The balloon itself doesn't do any work. When we blow the air, the pressure in does the thing. So the balloon is actually relaxed and expanded on its own. So next, let's do some breathing with the idea of the alignment in place and having the idea of the straightness of the stick and the spine. We're just going to start it from the center, inhaling and exhaling. Reach out to the sides to stretch. So breathing deep. Check to see that the tongue is connected to the upper palate. And activate the feet. So go at your own pace. And the same thing when we inflate, just like the balloon, we want to seal off. We don't want to deflate every time. So when you inflate, I'm lifting the base of the torso on the inhale, and then keep the expansion, keep the expanded feeling. I'm more relaxed on the way down, and then inhaling. Going on your own. By the way, one of the Tai Chi principles that you may have heard me talk about in the past is the hands. And TC would say that the hands stay within the vision. So when we're doing this kind of Qigong, where I'm looking is my hands and my eyes are working together. So when I reach all the way up, I'm looking up, sometimes looking through this section here, Huko. If you connect the hands, whether I'm looking forward here, my hands should be in the vision. If they're back here, when I'm looking forward, if I can't see them, they're too far back. So this also helps us keep this rounded shape, right? When we talk about holding the ball, staying around this way, when we're doing this stretch, even though it feels like we're reaching totally straight, there's still a little bit of this rounded curvature. So always keeping And so whatever you did today, whether you work, whether you're not working, it's getting on towards the end of the day. We're in the last portion of the day. So take the time to breathe, to recharge. We're not in a hurry. Take your time. Stretch all the way. And by the way, another expression my teacher would say about the vision and the hands is he would say, the hands follow the vision. We say the hands stay within the vision, but they also follow the vision. The eyes are fast. They're faster than the hands. So when we're practicing Tai Chi, we're leading with the hands. If we have a motion where we turn to go the other direction, the transition from first to second section, once my footwork is set up underneath me, my head is turning my eyes so that I can see. And then once I see, my hands can follow that vision. So the eyes go first. And so there's a connection between the eyes and the hands. Wherever you're at, if you're still doing the breathing, just do 2 to 3 more, depending on your pace, depending on how you feel. Reach all the way out to the sides. Breathe deep. And on the last one, just bring everything back together in the center. So this is like a traditional Chinese martial arts stance, is making everything vertical. Activate your feet, so it's like your body is like an L shape. You can feel the base is supported by your heels, and then straighten your neck, relax your shoulders. Connect the tongue to the upper palate, take a deep breath, and relax. Let's do a little bit of stretching, a little bit of warm up before we work. By the way, for rad and new people, there's generally I have a structure to my classes where usually at the beginning we do some qigong, just to take in energy. Even on the Saturday morning classes, we wake up fresh and relaxed. We can do this kind of breathing to make sure, and it's something I recommend for any activity that you do, whether you're going outside to do a little bit of gardening, if you have to go for a drive somewhere, doing whether it's manual labor or sitting somewhere to use thinking power. Take some time before the activity to do some breathing and inflate yourself with some qi. Let's warm up a little bit before we practice the stick. Just starting from the head top, do a little bit of massage on your neck. And so try to avoid contact with the skull and the vertebrae. We're just working on the tendons, specifically on each corner, on each side of the neck. I know there are people that follow this class at home who either not using this kind of stick or something different. You can also just use your hands. In this class, because we're practicing with the stick so much, I want you, A, handling it as much as you can, and B, getting used to using it for things like massaging your neck. This is not necessarily required if you had a long day sitting in front of the computer. By the way, your hand also has a special advantage, is you can transfer the qi directly. So even without a heavy massage work, you can practice the qi in the hands and the neck this way. But I like you to work with the stick, and I like you to think about it as more than a weapon, as something that can have a yin and yang quality as well. We definitely have the yang quality as the weapon for this, but then also. And then working your way down, make sure your shoulders are pulled back and try to hit the top of the back and on top of the shoulder blades. You can sort of angle it more to one side, working up and down, and then change it more to the other side. Breathing deep. Work all the way down to your shoulder blades. You can move the hands out a little bit further, and then still working under the shoulder blades. Keep your back arched in such a way that you don't hit the vertebrae or the bones that make up the spinal column, behind the spinal column. And then change your grip, holding it from underneath. Just working just under where you feel your tailbone. So we don't want to hit the tailbone. We're trying to specifically avoid hitting the neck, the spine, the skull. anything that's connected from the tip of the tailbone all the way up here. That's all communications equipment. It's the same thing if you have a phone or you have a router and it has an antenna, right? We don't want to drop our phone. We wouldn't tap our phone or grind a stick across our internet router. So the same thing, just using the soft material as much as we can. By the way, you can tap. So once you get the glutes here, take a second, just take your fingertips for tapping something like the head top. Just do one half at a time, one hemisphere at a time. Because at this point, the fingertips, the skin isn't soft. And so we're using, again, Tai Chi theory, a yin and yang theory, to use the soft part of the fingers to tap. And we're also using just one side of the, tapping on one side of the head at a time. And so you feel a difference. Let's continue. We're going to warm up a little bit more. So turning around center, push the back of your head top up, try to keep your spine straight. Feel your shoulders roll back and relaxed. Activate your feet, long breathing. Lift the inside of your torso while you breathe. Connect the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Make the breathing as long as the movement or longer. And see if you can just get into the zone where this is completely relaxed. Almost on autopilot, like a metronome that's set to a certain pace. And feel a little bit of the overlap on the motion. So when it reaches the end, it still actually pushes a little bit, and then it springs back. And then the same thing on the other side. It goes to the end, it springs a little bit past, and then continues. So lock your hips, and then try to lock your jaw. Relax your shoulders more. Relax your elbows more. Breathing deep. Can you turn all the way to the center? If my feet are parallel to the camera, turning. So open the spine, unlocking the spine. Breathing. Let's do one of these. Take the stick, push the tailbone back and away, grip your feet, let your shoulders, head, top, and neck relax. We're holding the stick using the waist. And so while you're quote-unquote upside down, grip your feet. So as if you have just one body instead of pieces, and it's that one whole thing is folded in half at the center. And then feel as if like the stick is moving vertically on the y-axis towards the ceiling, towards the roof, towards the sky, depending on where you are. So push your tailbone towards the sky, relax your neck. Like your crown chakra is completely heavy and it's pointing towards the ground. Really release your head and neck, breathing deep. And then when you're ready, on your own, grip your feet, keep the energy rooted to the ground, and then unrolling. Catch your stick on the way up, unrolling all the way, inflating all the way as well as you reach up to stretch, expand your lungs into that new shape, and then let everything relax. Next, we're going to do, we'll do the upper leg, and then we're going to do the foot, and then we're going to work on the stick because it's already 25 after. We need to keep moving. So, because we did a little bit of standing at the beginning of class. So, the same thing, pressing on all sides, pushing down the leg. Change sides, do the other side. Remember to breathe and to try to keep the Tai Chi ideas in mind. Your spine is straight, your neck is straight. we're going to do, we'll do 2 more before we work on the form. The next one is, as usual, do the bottom of your feet. So practice developing coordination with the stick. You can balance, you don't have to balance. This is not necessarily a balance exercise. So if you like to lean against the wall, sit in the chair, you can practice that way if you like. Try to get the whole bottom surface of the foot. You may have to turn your foot, angle it a little bit more. Definitely hit the arch of the foot with as much power as you can realize without having pain. And then do some on the top of the foot as well. By the way, there is in Chinese medicine, in acupuncture theory, there is a concept similar to maybe what in the West they refer to as reflexology. And so if you haven't changed, do the other foot as well. And this is a concept in reflexology that the micro mirrors the macro. And so there's some different ideas. In Chinese, I can't really speak too much to reflexology because I don't know about it, but in Chinese medicine, there's several places where they consider to be a mirror for the whole picture. And you can read about this stuff online. You can read about it in Chinese medicine books. One of them is the hand, just like we see in, with palm reading. Somebody that's talented may be able to analyze the quality of the skin and the fingers and the bones, the tendon through the nails, that type of thing. But there's also ECIWO, which is just using one bone or one section of the hand and massaging that. Another one is the eye, right? So they have the eyeball is iridology, right? Using the iris to analyze, and the whites of the eyes, the colors. Another one is the ear. In fact, there's some acupuncture where they specialize in just putting very small needles into the ear. And one of them is the feet, right? So this is this kind of tapping on the foot. Even if you have your shoe on, you don't have to take your shoes off. There's some forms of Kung Fu that have a stomping and a scraping where they want to get this kind of vibration going through the sole of the foot. And we can think of this very simply. I wanted to mention this. Just like a building has an electrical panel, right? You can, whatever building you live in or wherever you live, if you go to even a very big building, somewhere at the bottom there's a room and it has the ability to control all of the electricity to all the different parts. The same thing happening with the feet, with the hands, ear, eye. When you go to acupuncturists, sometimes they say, stick out your tongue. They can see different ideas. So this is one of the reasons we practice this type of thing. You can use your hands when you're sitting in bed, when you in the shower. You can do this same kind of massage on your feet without the stick. Before we do the BIAN form practice, does anyone have questions, comments, ideas, something that you're working on, something that you see, something from the form, something from something else? Okay, cool. Let's do the form. I'm going to reset a few times, and we're going to go back from the beginning. In fact, since everybody has had some experience with it, we should go back to just work on the first 4 movements, because we can talk about using those as a repeating pattern. So from the beginning, we have the salute. To review, the feet are together, the head top is up, shoulders are back, hands are round, the arms are round, and we have the stick forward, right? Tongue connected to the upper palate. The vision is looking, if we're facing this way, it's either straight ahead. If we have an opponent, it's looking at the opponent. And from here, it's just basically turning the wrist. We turn the waist and turn the wrist. My shoulders turning from parallel this way to parallel this way. But I'm still looking to the north. So when I'm here, when I do this, my shoulder is now facing in line this way. And the stick is here. So this is almost like if you have a kind of sword with a scabbard, right? They have where the connection is here. Long sword. This is the same feeling. We're holding it here, and this other hand is ready. So I'm referring to this as going from the salute to the ready stance. And this is just turning the wrist. By the way, you can see when we practice, the more we handle the stick, we have gravity from this vertical to the horizontal. So anywhere along that arc, right? The bag just happens to be there. It can be lower. It can be anywhere from there, the first one. And we're all coiled up and ready to go for the next one. This is, by the way, we talked about a yin-yang theory. So most of these movements have some type of wind up in one direction, unwind in the other direction. And because I'm wound here, I can unwind the other way. And now this way, here, 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 here. It's all winding and unwinding to keep the power continuous. Let's go back to the beginning. Salute. By the way, if you're practicing with no stick, the BIAN is a very useful form because it's also empty hand form. We can practice the same form as martial art as if we're using boxing technique. It's good to use a stick. It's good to learn with a stick. Later we'll practice more empty hand. So from the salute to the ready stance. And now from here, the first one is the sweeping block, right? And I'm doing a waba. This is kind of like the first exercise when we're doing this thing. But this one is, instead of just being horizontal this way, or being vertical, right? It's like a vertical bar or a horizontal bar. This one is a combination. It's coming up at an angle. And the ending posture is the hands are crossed, almost like in there's some Taiji postures where we have this kind of round, we're holding in cloud hands like you're holding something here round to press. And this sort of upper hand is relaxed. It's this way. This lower hand is the yang hand. So we're throwing, this hand assists, and then this upper hand also controls the curvature. So it brings it back in just to the shoulder, just to the edge of the gate. So from here, we have ready, lock. And so the idea is, if I have an opponent that's here, and they like to move towards my position, I can be stepping to the side and sending their power, blocking their power, whatever. This first one is considered a block, but it can also be a strike. So from here, ready, from salute to ready, blocking. And the next one is like casting a fishing line. But unlike casting the fishing line, we're trying to get the power to go just to the end of the stick and its arc, the way that it's arcing. So if we're really casting a fishing line, we want to send the power way beyond the line that way. If I'm doing that here, the way beyond is actually a trajectory that gets to where my opponent's center, or just through my opponent's center. So the casting is also a high hit too. We assume that somebody, after the first one, right, this first block here, is they're going to put their guard up. So we're going to cast over top of their guard. So we have 1, 2. And so this one kind of comes from the corner of the gate, right, coming in from the corner of the screen this way. The first one sweeping like a diagonal, sweeps, and then the second one coming in from the corner to the center. And so, again, the same thing. My right hand is throwing. My left hand is catching, preventing it from flying away. So I want to throw it like I'm completely throwing it away and catch it. By the way, watch please watch your jaw on this one. If you have a stick that's been cut to size, just manage where your fingers are. Watch your center and make sure that you don't hit yourself with the stick this way. And if you watch my structure, I'm using my whole spine and arms, my whole body to do that kind of high hit. We see this repeat later in the first section. It's a little bit different. So the first one here. The second one, I'm using my legs to spring up and cast. The power comes up the legs, through the arms, and through the end of the stick with a downwards force, right? We have block, hit. Block, hit. Block, hit. What's the next one? So this action of waba, sliding the stick between the hands. After the first, we have salute, ready, block, cast. The next one has two pieces. We hit a waba to set up, and then folding into the armpit. I think last Wednesday we just spent a bunch of time turning the stick one way into the elbow, into the elbow, into the elbow, right? Doing this one. And so this cast, after the cast from the waba, it's almost like from here, like we're turning a propeller blade into the front. And it's got to stop because the wrist is there, right? So it can only spin so far. But we want to have that same free flow of power, right? There's a lot of power that comes out of that. If you can get the trajectory, the arc, flying free. So, and the same thing, after we do the waba, one hand is throwing up and over, and the other one is anchoring it. So in this case, one is going down, the other's going up, and it creates this by the way, we can make this one a shorter range attack here, depending on how much stick we leave at the end of the stick. So here, I'm just holding a bit of it. So after I do my, let's see, where is this block, waba? Here, I can let the stick change and get that kind of power at a much bigger distance. Or here, it's only from here to here, as opposed to here, which is here to there. So that variable is dependent on yourself and your distance from your opponent. From the beginning, salute, ready, block, cast, waba, fold it into the elbow. And then what's the next one? Is if we let the stick go straight to the gate, turn the thumbs towards each other, and then stepping over to smash on this side. So if I face the side here from ready, cast, waba, elbow, turning the stick, and smash. So right now, we may do that. Yes, yes. That's Mark, you had it, that's right. But continue the circle. Let's do this. If you just take the stick and you hold it in your right hand at about the fourth hand mark, it doesn't matter which hand, right? And then you take the other hand and you reach across the left hand. So your thumbs are facing together. When you do that, if you see the video, my arms kind of make this circular shape. Like if you put it right here, like your hands are just inside the shoulder width, like they're sitting just below your collarbones, right? You're holding this and then you press out. Like when you go to the amusement park and they have the bar on the roller coaster or something like this. And so now if you look down, you see your arms, they're circular, right? With the elbows. This forms a circle, and this stick between where the hands are makes the shape, the circular shape complete. So if we start here, When we reach across, you're completing that circle. You complete the circle. And then, when we step, the whole circle from the center of your spine turns, and it comes down to the side. So if I go here, right, almost like this from the salute, and then I reach across and I take this, and then I turn the circle to smash. So this is the idea of this is, and if anyone here knows what a meteor punch is, this kind of coming from across and down this way, this type of punch, is we're taking the stick and we're doing the same thing, is turning it over. How many remember the hiking technique? We said if you take it with you as a walking stick, and you're here, and as you encounter an opponent and you need to turn to run, right? We have this one, this kind of sweeping, right? Even if you just have it in a very comfortable stance, turning the waist and connecting the hand to the body does this kind of turn. Well, this is the same for the smash, except we're going to end in a lunge, right? If you study yoga or some other type of fitness. So instead of just my right hand throwing up and across to come down this way, my left hand is also going to join here and both coming across, and then my circle ends with the stick being flat, and my stance is this kind of lunge stance. Let me face this direction. So if I'm here, as I reach, my hand and foot moving at the same time, and then as I pull the turn, lunge. That's it, right? And by the way, this in the form, we see this using both the yin and yang end. Whatever end you're using right now, they're both used. You can sort of feel where if you use the yang end, the heavier end, right, that has the more weight, feels more like a club. If you use the other end, it feels more like a whip, right? So this is the two ends of the stick, the yin and yang. So for Rad and other people waiting for clubs, sticks to arrive, you want to have some difference between. Some places they're polished, 1 inch diameter, 1 inch diameter. The guy teaching Guo, he said, I heard this through translation, he said, you actually want to have as much variance between the yin end and yang end, which I thought was really funny because I imagined like a really, really, really heavy fat end on one side and tapering down to something like this thing, which would make it like a caveman club, right? It's kind of a humorous thing. But then once you practice the BIAN, you see things like Iron Fan with the caveman club become effortless. It's weird. So then we're able to wield a lot of this kind of power. So it sounds very humorous and funny until we apply Tai Chi theory and realize we can wield a very large, heavy weight and control it by doing this kind of twisting. Let's continue. I want to get through these four movements and also the exercise that we can use to practice, whether it's on a bag, whether it's on a tree, or just repeating. So from the beginning we have salute, we have the ready stance, block, cast, set up waba, and then flip into the elbow. We have, by the way, after this elbow, to the smash is all one movement, right? While we're learning, we might make it several combined movements. But after it's in the elbow, the turn to smash is just one thing, right? In fact, you'll find more power once you get from the point where it's your elbows and wrists are wound up to the unwind to smash as one thing, right? There's a couple of pivot points that change, and if you get it right. Right, Mark, that's correct. In fact, practice that unwinding feeling and then try to connect it with the lunge to the smash, right? So like this is smashing something. By the way, the name for this one, some of the names of these I don't know in Mandarin. This one I definitely know. It's za, like when people want to call pizza za, the same, right? So za, and it means smash. And so, by the way, once we do this smash, we have the stick is here and it's parallel to the side. In real life, when we're using it, we may smash further down this way. We may smash further up this way. That's not important. In the form, remember, we're looking for the perfect horizontal and the perfect vertical, right? Maybe I need to adjust I'll blame the camera. I'll say I need to adjust my camera, right? But we're looking for that perfect. So when we're doing the smash, it's level, right? You want to have it level to the hands and make your the lunge correct. And so the level, if I bring my feet together, is almost like the first posture, the ready stance, going from salute to ready. The only difference is my one hand is turned. So after we do this smash at the beginning, if we bring the feet together, wah-bah, and then change the left hand, we're basically going to go from the za to the ready. And then we're going to repeat all 4 movements again. Yeah, question? Okay, let's continue. So I'll face the side here, right? So we'll go through it slow a couple of times. So from the salute, we have ready, and then we have block, cast, wah-bah, elbow, smash, and now watch, if I turn my left palm and I wah-bah my right palm, I can go, again, is block, cast, wah-bah. Look into the elbow, turn it over, smash, wah-bah, turn my left hand, right? I'm not even moving my feet. So what I want you to, we're going to practice more of it, but the idea is we have block, cast, recoil, hit, spin, block, cast, wah-bah, flip, smash, right? So this, and by the way, this for practice, for a practice session, especially if you have a lighter BIAN on, some of the different weights, there's different quality of wood. So I don't know what any the weight of the quality of the wood, but the stick I'm using, this one's a lot lighter, and this one is even lighter still. It's a smaller one, right? So depending on, and we can practice these 4 movements as a routine, whether you use the bag or not. You can use these same 4 movements. I'm going to use the bag just so we can see there's a repeating pattern, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? This is just using the stick this way, right? Using these same 4. And this is a good sort of introduction to flow and a good exercise so that you're handling the stick. I can't stress enough, the more... and by the way, this is another note about weapons for Chinese martial arts, for any... Your chi can be in the weapon. So we never allow children to handle the weapon because you have in martial arts the feeling of smashing your opponent, something. Children don't handle them. And also, don't store the weapon in your room, right? Don't store it near your bed or a place where you like to rest, especially the wood and metal, the natural ones. If it's a plastic one or carbon fiber, maybe not so much, but the natural ones can store chi. And so if you try to put it under your bed, you think, I can reach under there in case I have to face an attacker. This is a portion of feng shui, is understanding where a nearby weapon is. But we also have to understand that it can create a charge, it can create a type of energy. So keep it just outside the room, keep it just outside the doorway somewhere in a safe space where kids, when we practice at the park, sometimes children run over and they say, oh, it's a stick, they want to pick it up. Same thing with the sword. We generally don't practice a weapon in front of the small children because maybe they don't understand. Let's continue. Facing a different direction. From the salute. Ready. Block. Cast. Wah-bah. most of this follows sort of a Tai Chi pattern, yin yang. This is why for the BIAN, there's three principles. We want to change our direction every time we step. This is when we talk about 7-star stepping. It means that the stepping is completely random. There's no fixed pattern. So we want it, and every time that we make a movement, the reason when we start that I usually step to the left is because of the way that our opponent works and the way the stick works. But I could just as easily step to the right. If I want to fool my opponent, if they think I'm dodging and stepping this way, I can step to the right and hit this way. It's like almost like a monkey side attack, right? Something like this. It can change in any way. So, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just going from the beginning, without the footwork, without the stepping. If I'm just facing in one direction. Block, cast, wah-wah, flip, smash. And on this side, I can reset, block, cast, wah-wah, flip, smash, and then reset. So that's without the footwork. But the footwork, you can do anything you like. You can walk in a circle. So I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, smash, reset, 1, 2, 3, reset, 2, 3, 4. You can step forwards, backwards. The idea is by sort of getting this feeling of this routine of it's going one side, the other side, under, over, under, right? It's a left, right, up, down kind of thing, this pattern of 4 repeating. Then you can add any kind of step, or what I'm saying is if you have a bag, if you have, I know that Mark and some other people have access to this kind of bag, you can practice, right? And you can practice with the shorter weapon as well. So this same thing. The smaller weapon can hit the bag a little bit faster. There's not as much power, right? If I have this, and it's... we were talking about 3 principles. Change direction every time. So from one movement, change direction. And then the next movement, change direction again, the complete other way, and going up. The other one was over there and going down, right? And then when I step, change here. The other one is change height. So from the salute, we want to have the good Chinese martial arts posture. And then from there, from my block, I can actually sink. And then my next one, when I cast, I'm going very high. And then from my waba, I sink low again. And then when I pop into my elbow, I'm standing up. And then when I smack, low, up, and down. You can hear him talk about this in the videos that when he's talking about BIAN. So, and we don't have to use that word. I like to block and sit low. This is something, that's what he was teaching. But we could just as easily, if something's coming to our midsection, block high, right? This way. And then the same thing, cast here, instead of casting there, right? So this, it's infinitely variable. Before we continue, questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. I think we have just a few minutes left. Let's try to review the whole thing. I'll reset when I get to the end. I'm going to sort of go at a little bit of an angle. So from the beginning, ready, block, cast, wah-wah, flip into the elbow, turn the stick, smash, wah-wah, cut up, recoil, block, drilling. This one is Schwan, high hit, low hit, tip up, reset from here. So now I'm traveling north again. Change the stick, wah-bah, into the elbow. Reach across, hook. Reach across, smash. We're going to pop up, poke back, reset. Pop up, hit back, reset again. Iron fan 1, iron fan 2, sweep to the right corner, step and sweep to the left corner, flip it into the elbow to the right, smash left, smash right. And then from here, turn 2, 3. This is the transition from the second section to the end. We're going to step, wah-bah, short block, wah-bah, long block. Step to the corner, wah-bah here, back to the salute. Questions, thoughts, comments, ideas? All right, let's do some good old-fashioned Qigong to close. There's just a few minutes left. So the same thing we had talked earlier about when you start an activity before you do some kind of activity. By the way, my feet are actually parallel. I mention it so much because it drives me crazy. I see it on the camera. They look like they're way out there for some reason. So it's the angle of view. In any case, the same thing when you end an activity, the yin and yang. After you finish doing the work, do some breathing. So on this one, protect your knees. We're locking the hips facing forward, and we're turning around the center. The same concept in mind when we started, breathing deep, expanding. Turning 180 in the east, all the way to the west. Relax your tailbone, relax your lower back. And on this one, the same thing as well. The eyes leave the hands, and the hands stay within the vision. So we're turning the head stable, equal on each side. Do 2 more in this direction, going at your own pace. And then when you reach the other side, we're going to change directions. Now inhaling on this side all the way to the top, and exhaling on the other side all the way down. Breathing deep, pushing power up through the back of your head. Relax your tailbone, activate your feet. Turn the waist 180 degrees so your shoulders turn into one side, inflating. Turning all the way to the other side, exhaling but keeping the shape. And now we're going to add one more thing. Put something in your mind. Breathing deep. Have some idea that you like. And use the movement to increase the breathing. So as your arms go up, the lungs can expand more vertically and out to the sides. And as they go down, there's no effort to exhale. The body's doing it on its own. As they go up like a bellows, the arms of the bellows open and take in all the air. And then as the arms close, the bellows force the air out. This is effortless power to generate more power. Check to see that you have a very serious expression while you do this. relaxed qigong. Just kidding, have a half smile as the minimum. Tongue is connected to the upper palate. And I'm not counting, so if you are, you'll have to balance it out later. 2 more. And on the next one, come up to the center. Let the hands float as if the air underneath is enough to support. And then bring your feet back together at the center. Let your hands relax to the sides. And then move your consciousness into your Dantian. And with your mind in the center, imagine like a magnet or a whirlpool, bringing all the chi back to the center. So whatever warmth, whatever extra energy that you've developed, we're putting it back into the energy bank at the center. So breathing deep. Tongue still connected to the upper palate. If you leave your eyes open, close them partially, and externally and internally, looking all the way down to your belly button. Looking at your center. You can make more than a half smile, but you have to have at least a half smile. Looking at your center internally, take a deep breath. And take an opportunity to have gratitude for yourself, to yourself. One more long, deep breath. That's it. It's time. If you have questions, comments, you know how to contact me. Have a great night.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, thanks. See you. Have a great night.